Car chases are dangerous and unpredictable. Viewer discretion advised.
Now to some breaking news, a pursuit happening right now.
And that's, we'll go to our KCAL9's Desmond Shaw overhead in Sky 9 and tell us exactly where this is and what the want is for. Yeah. Hey, Des.
Well, yeah, hey, Pat and Juan, here we go. We are on the 5 freeway, I believe, right now, northbound on the 5. This guy is flying along. He's been just at about 100 miles an hour. He's actually got the light. In Glendale, it was Glendale PD that was pursuing them with an illegal U-turn, and they tried to light this guy up. He said, no thank you, and drove off over onto the 2 freeway. He was flying down there. We picked him up just as he was making the transition onto the 5. So we're northbound on the 5, and you can see these speeds have been above 100 miles an hour and driving like this with his lights off. In fact, he's going so fast, I'm trying to figure out what kind of car this is. It might be a Honda, one of those little Honda SUVs. They did have a spotlight, and you see, actually, it almost seems like the police department with their spotlight, you can see it flickering there. They're kind of having trouble keeping up. Maybe they have even lost a visual confirmation, so we'll help them out if we can. But we're northbound on the 5 coming back into Glendale. We're up towards the 134, but pretty crazy driving, and it all started with a illegal U-turn, Pat and Juan.
Wow, well, look at this car. He's going in and out of traffic, and that's so dangerous. If you've ever been on the road, on the freeway at night, and you've got people, somebody coming up behind you and, you know, fast moving with your lights off
too, Pat.
Well, that's what we're saying. He's got his lights off, and that's happened before. I've seen a number of people do that, and it's just really terrifying.
Tapping the brakes there a little bit.
Yeah, it's hitting the brakes. And Desmond, I guess this person has been weaving in and out of this traffic. Wonder if he's going to try to make a exit off the freeway.
Yeah, all over the place, Pat Juan. And here we go. Now we're seeing if he was going to go towards the 134. It looks like he's going to be sticking with the northbound 5. So coming towards Burbank, these speeds, it's just insane. And with these high speeds, well, okay, he's getting on a ramp. Actually, he might be going on the westbound 134 now. So he had the chance to go east on the 134, and instead he ended up going westbound. So instead of Burbank, well, we're still going to go through Burbank, but headed towards LA proper, the North Hollywood, Toluca Lake area. Just really flying here, and again, not seeing. Actually, I do see. It looks like a headlight on in the front, but I don't see any brake lights, no tail lights right now. So this dark-colored. This might be a one of those Accord SUVs. That's what I'm thinking it is. But again, just kind of hard to tell because he's blacked out right now. Might just have his fog lights on or something. But all over the place without lights on, and a dark vehicle like this, really difficult to see. Obviously, incredibly desperate to get away from the police. I'll just widen out and show you. I think they're just monitoring. Oh, over onto the right shoulder now.
Yep.
Going to be getting off of the freeway, so let's see what they do. Hopefully it slows down enough and doesn't take this turn too quickly. Oof. Yeah, Forest Lawn. So there's the spotlight again. They may just be following this one from the air at the moment. We saw some, getting right back on, it looks like. So just took a quick diversion there. Maybe he was thinking, you know, he could ditch the airship or something, but now we'll see how quickly they go getting back on the freeway. But all with an illegal U-turn. That's what started all this, but no fear at all to get up to 100 miles an hour as they try to get away from the police, but that's not going to be enough to get away from the airship. That's for sure. I believe this is Police 2. This might be the airship, Police 100. Yeah, this is the chopper that is kind of an interagency chopper that's shared with Glendale, Burbank, Pasadena. You really see them all over the place. They're almost up at all hours, so that's how they were able to get in place on this pursuit so quickly. They may have been in the area, and Glendale PD alerted them. And so, again, I'll just widen out quickly to show you, I haven't seen any of the units on the ground behind this guy, probably just having trouble getting in place because driving like such a maniac. And so just following this one from the air so far, you know, a lot of times, Pat, when we see the agencies, especially sheriff's deputies, they'll back off when someone starts driving like this to try to get them to calm down. And there's not even anyone following this guy from the ground, but still driving like a total lunatic.
Now, you know, you said, though, CHP initiated this. Is that correct, Desmond?
It was Glendale. Glendale Police are the ones that we heard of. However, now that they're on the freeway and have been for so long, they may be trying to hand this one off to CHP, and it's really kind of be up to them if they want to get involved in this. Most of the time they do when another agency tries to hand a pursuit off to them because it gets on the freeway. A lot of times they'll acquiesce to that, and they'll get involved. And then, you know, if they get off of the freeway, then they may try to hand it back off again. So it's where we're kind of in that in-between mode right now, you know, who's going to be taking this one. But I haven't heard any update from Glendale PD, but we continue to still see that spotlight flickering from the air from Police 100, who's now kind of getting out of his zone as well. So maybe see if LAPD will lend some assistance with one of their helicopters. We'll see. But we're now on the 101, so we just flew between the 5 and the 101 on that westbound 134 as we now get towards the Studio City area.
Traffic seems to be picking up. Seems to be a bit more crowded on the freeway in this particular area. Notice, okay, don't know what he's getting ready to do here.
Crazy
Every time I think he's getting
maneuvers,
ready to get back off the freeway, he seems to get back in traffic on the freeway.
And what's interesting, Pat, this was just a guy wanted for an illegal U-turn. So obviously something else is going on here, and at these speeds. And it's not often that Desmond has sometimes trouble just keeping up with the shot. He's going so fast. I mean, now it's a perfect shot, but my goodness.
Maroon-colored vehicle there,
there
Desmond.
it is. Now's a good shot, yeah.
Yeah, I believe they call this a cross tour. I believe the Honda Accord Cross Tour. Yeah, it's basically an Accord with a hatchback. It's almost kind of a crossover thing. But okay, taking the off ramp here pretty quickly as we come down to Laurel Canyon.
Oh.
And okay, now it's starting to slow down. Let's see where we go with this one. If he's going to go north or south on Laurel Canyon, or if he's going to sit here. We'll see if we get behind this tree. He's just kind of stopped right now. Okay, now continuing, we're seeing if,
but very slowly.
Sometimes we see him stop and then, sometimes we see him stop and then let somebody out of the car, but no indication that there's more than one person in this car. Now,
there's somebody on the corner.
After driving,
there's a pedestrian.
Well, I believe, I believe that may be a homeless person there along the off-ramp, but, well, just got off and then right back on the freeway, just like we saw earlier on the 134 when he got off at Forest Lawn Drive. So, who knows what this person's thinking, but it's just so strange. Just, again, started as an illegal U-turn, and so what else is going on now with this guy? Why is he so intent on running and gambling, essentially the way that he is right now, just to try to get away? An illegal U-turn ticket is a lot less steep than what this guy will be facing now. And now we're getting into a construction zone. You see him just cutting off that Caltrans truck. They were setting up their nightly closure, Pat and Juan. They've actually been replacing the center divider here on the 101. I hit that closure on the way home, where they're just now beginning to work for set up for the evening. And there you saw just cut him right off as he blasted over to the left lane there, and back up to these high speeds with no taillights on, just flying by people. This is a 55 zone as well, because it's a construction zone. You can see the K-rail there in the middle, but just flying up along cars. You can't even see this guy coming because it looks like he might just have one headlight, and it's awfully dim. So
that's
really
so
dangerous as we continue towards the 405 and kind of some moderate traffic.
If these speeds are right that we're looking at, this person has been driving at over 100 miles per hour at times, and going in and out of traffic like that. Don't want to give him kudos for handling this vehicle and not hitting anybody, but I imagine CHP, Glendale Police, LAPD, they really want this guy off the road right now.
I hold my breath every time he passes a car because you just don't know what he's going to do.
Getting so close, and again, with the lights off like that, if you're a driver too, seeing something like that, not seeing something like that coming up behind you and then getting close enough, you get nervous too.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to anticipate, well, what is that person going to do in front of me? Are they going to pull over in front of me while I'm driving like, Desmond, I'm going to use your word, like a lunatic?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and look at it. I mean, it looks like there's almost no illumination coming from the front of the vehicle. It looked like he might have had one headlight, maybe the left headlight, but nothing coming from the right side. And at these speeds, people are not going to see him coming along. And if they're just trying to make a lane change, I think he's going to come up on him so quickly that people's like lane keep assist aren't even going to help them out. So now we're headed towards the 405. We'll see if he goes north or south. If he goes, okay, it looks like he's going to be going north. Yep. And taking this turn, cutting this person off. No construction on the 405, and pretty pretty wide open conditions. I mean, look at that. I took my eyes off the screen for 1 second and nearly got away from me here. It's just crazy the speeds this guy's going. He's not going to be able to see, you know, a road hazard or something if he comes up on anything either. So, you know, it's so dangerous for him and everybody else right now as we head through Van Nuys, northbound on the 405, and still not seeing any units engaging from the ground, either be it from Glendale PD, who started this, or CHP. We've just had Police 100 overhead from with their chopper. Yeah,
that's what's interesting. Nobody's following him, but they are following him from the air, right? The chopper is, we saw it lighting him up at some points during his pursuit.
And we know that they can call in reinforcements, right?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have, you know, you would have Glendale PD basically, you know, using dispatchers to relay information to CHP and see if you can get them to pick it up if they want to get involved. But when you have someone who's going so fast, and it seems like the law enforcement helicopter is having trouble keeping up with them as well, it's going to be really difficult to get any other agencies, units involved in this. And that's, I think, what we're seeing here. All because of an illegal U-turn. What else is going on to make somebody want to drive over 100 miles an hour, zigging and zagging all over the roadway with no taillights?
And certainly,
what is going through this person's head?
And driving away from, oh, what is this? You know, it almost like, it seems like he wanted to be parallel with that driver. I mean, you look at this person, and this started in the Glendale area. I believe that's what you said, Desmond. He's traveled on the 2, the 5. We saw him on
134.
134, and of course,
101.
now on the 101 freeway. So really no rhyme or reason necessarily as to where this person could be headed or where he was headed in the first place. As you mentioned, they stopped him, or they started following him in Glendale, pursued him because of an illegal U-turn. And since then, he has really racked up a number of charges here. And when I mention about reinforcements, I'm just saying, even as he goes further away from Glendale, of course, they are in contact with other law enforcement agencies to possibly gauge where this person could be going next. We know he's in the San Fernando Valley now, going northbound on the 405, and he's gone all the way from Glendale. So there are a number of avenues, a number of other freeways that he's going to be coming
And he just
on.
keeps swerving, Pat. He's in the carpool lane 1 minute that goes all the way to the right side, and not being able to see him, even when we have him in the middle of the shot there, by not having you know, his headlights on, it does darken the shot quite a bit, and that is very dangerous at those speeds.
And as Desmond, you were saying that still we don't see any units on the ground following this person, which obviously is on purpose. We're just wondering exactly why. If they go ahead.
Sorry, Pat. I was talking with my assignment desk trying to get some more information on this, and this is really, it sounds like Police 100's radio is not working very well, trying to communicate with CHP, trying to get them to get involved. So they have not formally even requested CHP's presence in this because they haven't been able to communicate to them. So that's apparently the main reason why we haven't seen any units getting overhead, and that may be why we don't have even Glendale PD from the ground either, that the helicopter is not able to communicate to ground units right now and get them in place. So kind of a weird situation with that. So right now they just have, you know, eyes from the air, and at this point their best hope might just be to see if this person stops somewhere, and then, you know, they could guide units in later. Or I don't think I've ever heard of that happening, but we're actually kind of coming back full circle now as we make the transition to the eastbound 118 from the northbound 405. So we'll be headed through Arleta and Pacoima, and then we'll see if he goes back south on the 5, kind of to where this came from, or what the deal is. I'm kind of curious if they're going to have to just give this one up. If I'll ask my pilot if they're able to communicate with, they must be able to communicate with their radios, you know, up in the air, because we can hear them talking up here, but it's unclear what their plan is going to be with this one if they can't basically radio in any ground units.
That's pretty unbelievable.
There should be a plan, right, Pat? If they can't talk to the units down below, what do you do next? Just keep watching and keep following, right?
Well, maybe they're watching.
I guess so.
Maybe they're watching KCAL 9 and listening to you, Desmond, even from a television set to sort of get a gauge on where they are, and they can call other units, possibly, right? I mean, just to let this go because you can't communicate.
Yeah. That's a good point, Pat. You know, maybe they. Whoa! Really close there. You saw just blasting through the gore point on that transition to the southbound 5. So we are kind of headed back in the direction of where this all started. But yeah, that's a good point, Pat. Hopefully they have KCAL 9 on at police headquarters in Glendale, and they can just use our shot right now. We're happy to help law enforcement out if they want to come and engage this person, or if, maybe one of the dispatchers there. They have that on in the background. Maybe they can get a hold of CHP that way and give them the location and get CHP in to take this one over, because it is just really disturbing to watch this person fly around with no lights on, zigging and zagging all over the place at triple-digit speeds and taking all the chances that he or she is.
Yep, that's interesting, Des, because we're not exactly sure who is behind
the
wheel here. And, we're not exactly sure if there is more than one person in the car, if there's someone in the passenger seat. We haven't been able to see, first of all, because it's so dark. We did see this car come to a stop.
Right at Laurel Canyon.
That Laurel Canyon.
For a little bit.
Weren't quite sure what he was going to do. Thought maybe there could have been a foot bail attempt of some kind, or if a passenger was getting out. But that is just speculation. So, I think it's fair that we can speculate because we've seen that happen before.
Yep.
But they got right back on the freeway, the 101 freeway, and went in the other direction.
Right,
we're southbound on the 5. We just crossed the 170, but continuing on the 5 and well over 100 miles an hour. And this is not a sports car that this person is driving. I believe this is an Accord Sport Trek or cross tour, something like that. But it's basically just a Honda Accord with a hatchback, kind of like a crossover. And if this guy turns the wheel too quickly, he's going to lose control. And
well, what?
Who knows what? But this isn't like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, that's for sure.
No. Well, Desmond and Juan have some more information from our Mark Liu that CHP is on the phone talking to Glendale Dispatch. So I guess they're doing it the old-fashioned way.
On the phone.
Exactly. So for us to think that there is no way that they can have some kind of communication, and apparently Glendale Police is telling CHP they want to
keep pursuing this car.
Keep pursuing the car. Okay, so Glendale Police still wants to be engaged. And possibly you will see that, Desmond, if they've got a location.
Copy. And my pilot Mike just let me know, Pat and Juan, that apparently LAPD Police 16 may be coming in to join this, and they're going to ask them to ask CHP to get involved. So they're basically going to see if they can use LAPD kind of as exactly, do a little game of chopper telephone between the two choppers and have them contact CHP on behalf of the Glendale Police 100 chopper, to get this to see if they can get this squared away. But gotta say, that's really unfortunate for Police 100. This is a helicopter that probably flies more than any helicopter in the greater LA area. Pretty much every time we're in the air, they're up. It seems like that interagency helicopter is flying at least 16 hours a day. Even if I'm just out around Pasadena, I look up and I can see Police 100. So to have that kind of catastrophic radio failure for such an important helicopter is extremely unlucky, especially in the circumstance. And hopefully when that ship gets on the ground, they can have one of their engineers take a look at those radios, because you look what happens. You really see just how critical those radios are. When we're up here, we're listening to all of the basically all the crosstalk on the scanners. You have the dispatchers talking with the officers relaying information, and then those dispatchers are the ones that will help contact one of the other agencies if need be to have them assist. So now we're getting off the freeway once again. And
San
we'll
Fernando
see if this is going to be
Boulevard.
another one of these things. Yeah, we'll see if it's going to be another one of these things where he gets off and then back on again as we go underneath the 5. And this is this Buena Vista? Yeah, so
Northbound.
Okay, well, what
maybe
just
he's
happened
under
here
there.
now?
Did they stop?
Yeah. I believe they did. I wonder if this was his plan. Let's do an orbit around this if we can and see. I mean,
because they haven't come through
yet.
Yeah,
I think he's. Yeah, is that? I think that the chopper overhead just said the same thing, that they're trying to hide underneath the overpass. But we'll do an orbit here if we can.
Well, especially if he knows that they're following him.
Is that him? There he is.
There it is. There it is. Yeah, yeah, that's definitely him. That's the purple cross track, or yeah. Okay, so now it kind of, let's see if the driving behavior changes at all.
Well, he just made that.
He just kind of blew through that protected turn.
Yep, made that wide turn.
I was thinking maybe he was going to hang out under there for a while and then pretend like he's just, you know, just kind of like anybody else. But no,
back on the
still
freeway.
has the lights off. And it's still pretty obvious that it's him. And it's, you know, this isn't like a fairly unique car. It's just, I mean, the first time anyway that we've seen a Honda Accord hatchback, you know, get into a pursuit. So they'll be pretty confident in spotting this vehicle. It's not like a white pickup truck or a white SUV or a super common vehicle that you might see elsewhere in Los Angeles. But back on the 5, leaving Burbank once again. So it seems like every time they get off the freeway, they just get right back on
and go in the opposite direction.
You know, right. It seemed like he was trying to kind of pull a bit of a fast one there on the police. I'm pretty sure they're still aware. Again, LAPD Police 16 that was going to possibly come in, and we'll see if they relieve Police 100 issues, but I still haven't heard an update about CHP officially getting involved yet.
So Police 16 is the other chopper that LAPD uses, Des?
Yeah, that's correct. And I believe they came out of Van Nuys Airport up, and that's Police 100 right there. It's a pretty cool little chopper. They actually don't have a tail rotor. It's a fairly unique chopper, at least as far as law enforcement goes. But so they're still up. They're still up. They still got eyes on this one. His little trick underneath the freeway did not fool Police 100. They're just having those communication issues. And so we're north on the 5, headed back towards the 170. I'm just looking up ahead to see what traffic's like, and it's still pretty easy going for this suspect. Not going to be any heavy traffic. Doesn't look like there's any construction on the 5 as we head up towards Pacoima and the 118, and might slow down a little bit as we come to the shuffle with the end of the 170, but still driving pretty fast, still driving without lights on.
Well, you know what? Police work doesn't stop because you can't communicate from the chopper. That's why you have cell phones. As long as you have those puppies charged, you're okay, or at least have a way to charge them in the car. So imagine that's how they're talking to one another, or they were. And yeah, he's getting a little stuck now. Of course, we've seen him weave in and out trying to get through vehicles, get through some heavy traffic on the freeway whenever he runs into some traffic there.
Yeah, I was glad he didn't try to squeeze between those two vehicles, at least, because he really could have caused a crash there. So here we go. Still all the way towards the left of the freeway now, but you know, as soon as I say that, he gets all the way over to the right, and like, yeah, just like clockwork there. And over 100 miles an hour as we come up towards the 170. It's just been so frustrating not to see any ground units getting involved in this, but I believe we do have 2 helicopters overhead now with Police 100, the helicopter that's shared between Glendale, Burbank, and Pasadena, and LAPD, Police 16. They're the ones over this as well. But flying along northbound on the 5 through Pacoima. We'll be back towards the 118 soon, and we'll see at this rate if he's going to stay on the left, then he's going to continue towards Sylmar and the Newhall Pass.
Will ground units ever get involved, Desmond, or is this all just going to be from the air right now?
Yeah, it's tough to say. If anyone's going to get involved, it's probably going to have to be CHP, but we haven't heard officially that they're getting involved.
Need to ask.
And, you know, maybe they don't want to get involved in this. I mean, if this was something like assault with a deadly weapon, or if this was a kidnapping suspect or something really serious, the CHP would not hesitate. They would you know, get right involved. But we have to remember that this did just start as an illegal U-turn, and even though it is, you know, totally egregious the way this person is reacting and driving, and really weird they're using a turn signal considering how they've been driving. But you know, when you consider that that's what started, that this just started as a traffic infraction, it's very possible that CHP is just going to say, you know, we're really not interested in this. So I have seen that happen before, the less severe the initial charge, the more likely other agencies are to pass up on it. And now we're going to be, looks like we'll be continuing on to the eastbound 118, but they do still have eyes from the air. If he gets off of the roadway, in Los Angeles, they could ask LAPD to get involved in this, but so far this just continues to be basically a pursuit from the air.
You know what, and how many times have we seen where we think they're just following from the air, and then when this person makes makes one move where they're going on surface streets, especially the way they've been going and halting under underpasses, and you see a barrage of
suddenly show up,
of
right?
cruisers, yeah, that could possibly be on every intersection surrounding this car. Sort of hope that happens, only because of the fact that they're still driving rather dangerously, and you are putting other people in harm's way simply because they may not be able to maneuver even if you can.
And what's interesting, they're not really leaving the area, Pat. It's like a loop-to-loop. They keep just going around, back on the 118 again, basically in the same area of the San Fernando Valley he was earlier.
And keep in mind that this started in Glendale, and now he's, as you said, he's doing a loop around and possibly could end up back where this started. Don't know for sure, but at the same time, as Desmond mentioned, they still have eyes on him from the air. All right, he is making a transition here. We're Foothill Boulevard.
Yeah, it looks like we're going. Well, it looks like we're going to the eastbound 210 now, Pat, away from the from the 118.
Again,
so
right?
headed towards the La Crescenta Valley if he continues on this freeway. So this would be new for this driver. Eastbound on the 210. Might be coming into a construction zone. I see some cones on the roadway there. Let's see. Yeah, eastbound on the 210. So we're kind of on the north end of Pacoima, headed towards Lakeview Terrace, the Sunland area. Continuing on this trajectory will put him towards Pasadena. So this is a new stretch of roadway, at least not making a complete loop at this point if they continue on the roadway. And I was, you were Pat, you were talking about if they get off the freeway and it looks like units aren't watching, and then maybe they stop and somebody standing by. That would certainly be the hope. You can bet that the Police 16 has been radioing this information, to LAPD units on the ground. They certainly know the location, and so if you have someone who just happens to be in that area, maybe on another call, then they could be ready if that person does get off the freeway, and if they decide to get out and run or what have you. It sounds like, I believe assignment desk just told me that LAPD Police 16 is radioing the information to CHP and seeing if they can finally get involved in this. But now we're in another construction zone where they've been doing some work on the center divider here as well, and you can see the cones in the roadway, so it's going to be kind of difficult. You really hope that this person's going to slow down and not endanger any of the personnel that are out there, walking around trying to repair the roads for us. But you see everyone else kind of slowing down, and it's kind of forcing him to slow down as well.
Yeah, they're not moving out of his way either. See that car in front of him? It's like, I'm not going to move. You got to go around me.
I'm not going any faster.
Yeah, well, and this, to them, this guy just comes off as, any other, crazy driver in Los Angeles. They have no idea until they perhaps now begin to see the spotlight overhead, and then they might think, oh, what's going on with this guy that's going flying by me. But still no units from the ground at this point. It's been, the duration of this pursuit. I think very briefly we saw some Glendale units when this first began on the southbound too, when we first got a visual of it, but then this person just slammed on the gas pedal, went northbound on the 5, and the Glendale PD units that had been in pursuit lost it. And, that and the communication issues that Police 100 have basically allowed this person to continue driving like this without any units, behind them to make any attempt to stop it, if it's a pit maneuver or whatever. But you do see the spotlight there. I believe that is LAPD's helicopter that is now lighting up this Accord Crosstrek crossover, basically a hatchback kind of crossover Honda Accord.
Well, something. They could have the plate number of this car, right? They could have run the plate and possibly they know where this guy is or where they live.
There's a good shot. At least we can see his shoulder there in the window.
Yeah. I mean, that could be a possibility, Desmond, when you were talking about earlier about they may have just said, oh, forget it. You know, since it's
right.
not.
That's, yeah, since
okay,
this isn't, you know, since the initial reason to try to pull this person over was just a traffic infraction. It wasn't, you know, a felony or anything like that. But that is possible. You know, I mean, when they're getting ready to pull someone over, I believe they automatically scan their license plate as well. And we didn't hear anything about the vehicle being stolen. I mean, that's maybe one of the most common things that we, you know, hear initiating one of these pursuits is when an agency locates a stolen vehicle and then they take off. But that's not the case. This was just an illegal U-turn that started this, and it looks like we're going to be circling back now
on the westbound,
on the 210 westbound. Yep, back westbound on the 210. So this has pretty much been the MO since the beginning: is get on a freeway, get off a freeway, get back on a freeway,
and all in the same area, pretty much, just a few miles apart.
Yeah, we are a decent distance now. That we're in the Sunland area now, headed back towards Lakeview Terrace and Pacoima. But yeah, you know, Glendale, we were in the Glendale, Burbank area, Studio City, and we're kind of trending back towards Burbank. And then just as we saw them get off the freeway and kind of hide underneath the overpass for a while. And, you know, that did not work. That did not evade the choppers from the air. They continue to have their spotlight overhead, and at best, you know, we can just hope that CHP is going to get involved in this and, you know, get this person off the freeway.
You know, the thing is, we've also looked, they've been driving, you know, fast, faster than the other vehicles on the road, that's for sure. But fortunately, we haven't seen no one has been struck. There's been no damage to any other driver out there. But just the fact, you know, they would show up anyway. If you still have somebody on the road with their lights out like that, that was still presenting another danger to other people on the freeway, I would suspect. Right, Desmond? I mean, just say if you're on the freeway and you call even 911 and just said, look, this person is driving.
Lights on,
Exactly, driving over 100 miles per hour.
Yeah, that's a good point. You would think that just as many miles as this person has traveled, that they probably would have encountered a CHP officer on the freeway by now, but that hasn't been the case. Apparently the latest is that CHP is trying to get in place to get a unit on the ground to get behind this person and engage them, but they haven't been able to yet. In fact, there had been a officer standing by in the La Cañada Flint Ridge area, but just as that person was headed that direction, just as the suspect was headed that way, got off the freeway and reversed course and came back west on the 210. So now they have to, you know, see what other officers are in the area. Dispatchers definitely reaching out to whatever, you know, CHP unit may just be down, standing by, or maybe filing a report or something that has the ability to get in place to get behind this person. And, you know, hopefully once that happens, if, you know, CHP is really good at spotting opportunities to bring this to an end, if they're able to, you know, get spike strips, if somewhere way up ahead, if they can plan that out. Might be kind of difficult just with how fast this person's driving. Or if they can get right behind them when they get off the freeway at the off-ramp and there's no traffic, then the second they get off the off-ramp, they can, you know, initiate a pit maneuver and spin this person around and try to bring it to an end that way. But there's still no one behind, just the spotlight from LAPD overhead. That is the only eyes we see on this pursuit so far, besides our own, of course.
And we've been on this for a while, Desmond. Speaking about mutual assistance there, when Glendale PD said they wanted to keep this going, if they ask the CHP for help, do they always say yes, or like you said earlier, can they pass on it? Is there a general rule for this type of thing?
I really do believe it's up to the agency. It may be up to the particular watch commander that is on duty as well. I don't know that CHP has an obligation like where they absolutely have to take a pursuit over just because something is requested of them. In fact, I'm thinking of one in particular that involved LA County Sheriff's deputies where they had someone who was driving like this as well, and they lost sight from the ground, and they wanted CHP to get involved, and it was it was actually LA County Sheriff's chopper that was basically hailing CHP, and CHP said no, we're not going to you know, pick that up, because I think again it was just a very basic one. It was just a traffic infraction, and you know they have to think about liability in circumstance.
Yeah.
It may cross their mind. Do we want to be getting in a suit like this when this was just an illegal U-turn? They have to think about the safety of the public. Now, as we come to yet another Caltrans construction zone, this is westbound on the 210. Looks like we're going to be getting off the freeway in the Silmar San Fernando area, and we'll see.
It almost looked like they were coming to us. No, they're made
and down to Polk Street, and yeah, completely about something. He had a solid green light and
correct.
It kind of hesitated. So who knows where this person is headed? Covered so many cities now at this point, and we can see now pretty clearly that there is only one person inside, and I think he just saw through the sunroof there that the police still have eyes on him from the air. I'm sure he can see the spotlight, the light of the spotlight coming through his sunroof right there.
And another U-turn.
Well,
another illegal U-turn.
That's a weird, yeah.
Right?
That was weird.
Yeah, obviously this person's pretty confused, probably pretty panicked, and definitely not happy that law enforcement is not, giving this up. At this point, I was, maybe if he just continues.
It's almost as if he was trying to. All right, there you go. We got our picture back, Des. To me, it was almost as if he was trying to gauge. Let me see.
Should I give up? Should I pull over?
Yeah, I'm gonna. If I turn around and they don't follow me, then, there's still nobody behind me. Nobody's coming after me. Even though the night's even though they still have the
I was thinking maybe he had to. I think maybe he had to stop and look for himself to see if there was a helicopter overhead, and then we saw him, go right through our shot, and I think he realized at the same time. I think we both probably saw the helicopter at the same time, realizing that, yep, there's still somebody on this. You have not gotten away at this point. And I mean, look at this. Now we're on Glen Oaks. Fortunately, traffic is light, but look at these speeds. We're going freeway speeds on surface streets. You've got stoplights, you've got cross traffic up here, really dangerous. We're northbound on Glen Oaks, headed towards the Newhall Pass at this point. Fortunately, he had a green light there. Haven't seen this person blow through any red lights, but that's probably just by virtue of them being on the freeway this entire time. But so now just going to see if this is going to continue into the Newhall Pass or come back onto the 5 freeway onto the wrong side of the road there briefly. And still no one from the area. At this point, LAPD could get involved if they wanted now that he's in the city of Los Angeles. But it's unclear if LAPD wants to get in on this either, just because this started as merely a traffic infraction. I have noticed that a lot of agencies.
Here's another UE or something. Oh, left-hand turn.
Through the intersection there.
But he's definitely thinking. You wonder if this person could be talking to somebody on the phone, because he's definitely thinking about which move to make next. At least it looks like it when he's stopping and trying to figure out which way should I go now.
And it's got to be confusing for him too. He doesn't see any police cars behind him, but he sees the light from up above. What to do, because you are kind of expecting that cavalry of cars to suddenly show up behind him,
or
but
some sirens
so far
or something.
Hasn't happened. Yep.
He's picked up speed again as well. He's on Roxford. Well, yeah, Roxford at Ralston.
Yeah.
And picking up speed
Roxford,
again.
This will cut over towards the 5 freeway.
Heading to the 5 again. Well, that's familiar territory for him. We've seen him on the 5 on more than one occasion since we've been following this for, what, about 45 minutes?
Yeah, at least, right?
Or longer.
Yeah, just wondering if this guy's, looking for an opportunity to ditch this car and get out and run. We see that many times where they just, look for a good opportunity. He may just be looking for a place where thinks that, he can ditch the chopper, but it's going to be difficult because, well, we'll see if there's still 2 helicopters that are overhead this one, but we know there are still. Yeah, my pilot Mike just informing me there are still 2 helicopters, so that makes it twice as difficult for him to try to avoid it, because you're just going to have, if he goes under an overpass, you're going to have helicopters basically waiting on both sides to try to make sure that he doesn't get away. And now going underneath the 5 freeway, at Roxford, and
so
indeed,
on the
here
five,
we go, back onto the 5.
5 south.
Looks like we're headed southbound. Yep, headed back southbound, and there goes Police 100 through our shot right there. The ship with the really unfortunate radio issues, and that's why LAPD has had to lend their helicopter overhead, is because Police 100 was not able to radio any of the units themselves. Now, last we heard, LAPD was trying to get on the phone with CHP to get them involved in this, but we have not seen that yet.
No, but we hear from our assignment desk that CHP is really trying to catch up to this car right now.
That's how fast they're going.
Yeah, so we will see, Desmond, if that happens momentarily. They're on the 405 freeway again.
Heading southbound.
But apparently CHP is trying to catch up to this car.
So we should see
and they are talking about this, Juan and Pat, they are talking about this on CHP frequencies right now. So CHP definitely knows, where this is. It may actually even be LAPD's helicopter that is, communicating that on their frequencies right now. So, but it may just be that when you have someone driving this quickly, it's just a matter of, it may just be a matter of, getting someone that's in the right place and is able to get in position, but just haven't seen it yet. Not since the beginning of the pursuit have we seen anybody behind this guy.
Or in front, or in an intersection.
Yeah, just from up above.
Waiting. But we'll see if they catch up to this vehicle or not, if they engage. But right now, again, it's almost an hour that we've seen this person driving rather aimlessly off and on different freeways from the Glendale area, now back on the 405 freeway.
Definitely a high-speed pursuit, but being pursued from the air with choppers, and still waiting to see at some point whether or not one of these CHP cruisers that we've been informed is headed in this direction to try to intervene here. And looks like maybe is traffic picking up a little bit here?
What can you see from your vantage point?
A little bit here.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're at about maybe 85, 90 miles an hour southbound on the 405, now coming through Granada Hills and kind of charging back down towards the 101. So looping back around here as well, really aimless driving by this person. And, if they're just dragging this out, if there's something, going on beneath the surface, and wondering if, this person knows they're going to be going away, maybe, if they have some outstanding charges as well. And it's bizarre that you would do this and drive like this to get away from the police when it was just, an illegal U-turn. I think that's only, probably only a couple $100 and maybe a point on your record if you don't go to traffic school. And now it's so much more than that by, continuing to drive like this. So what else is going on here, and where is this person headed? Are they talking to somebody on the phone right now? Sometimes we see these suspects with the phone up to their ear, and they're trying to get a hold of a friend that can
find out where to go.
Maybe let them in the house or something like that, or what. But we are really, really fast here southbound on the 405, and even in light traffic, it's just still incredibly dangerous.
All right, southbound on the 405, trying to see what looks familiar. Can you see what street that they've passed already?
Pat,
or coming up on?
As soon as I tell you one street, he's going to be at the next one. We're crossing Roscoe right now. I can see we're near Van Nuys Airport. He's up to and up to 120 miles an hour, which may be the fastest. This may actually be the fastest that we've seen so far. Just plowing along here, 120 miles an hour. In a car that is definitely not designed to drive like this.
Well, he's definitely doing it, Desmond. We've seen high rates of speed pretty much the entirety of this pursuit, only slowing down just a bit when transitioning or getting off the freeway, and then looping right back on. And again, just pretty much staying within a certain area, not leaving the area or continuing north or continuing south. He just keeps coming back and around and
occasionally gets off the freeway.
Yeah, occasionally, right.
Surface streets for a moment, and at times when he's been on surface streets, he seems sometimes he's ended up in areas that aren't major boulevards, boulevards, so streets that you would think, well, maybe he knows somebody.
Right.
And they're telling him to go in that direction, but then always ending back up on the freeway. And he's just passed, you said he passed Van Nuys Boulevard?
We're down near Victory now at this point, Pat. This guy's been driving so quickly. We've been trying to, and we had to give space to a jet that was actually on Burbank Airport's final approach, so that's why we're so far away. We're going to try to catch up with this guy. Of course, he's driving almost as fast as we're flying, but you can see the spotlight there. That is LAPD. They're still monitoring this one from the air, but we just got word that Glendale apparently no longer interested in this. And now even CHP is saying, well, you know, keep us posted, but we don't think we're going to get engaged either. So, you know, I hate to say it, but okay, now a CHP helicopter is going to be taking over at this point, probably much to the relief of LAPD, who ended up, you know, having to get involved in this kind of, you know, through no fault of their own, just because they needed to help relay radio traffic from Police 100. So this has really been, you know, kind of just a bizarre situation, really difficult on law enforcement. They haven't been able to get engaged from the ground because he's been going so fast. They've been having trouble even communicating to CHP because of the radio issues in Police 100, the interagency ship from Glendale and Burbank. So it's kind of just been like one thing after another, and now it seems like Glendale's like, well, you know what, this might just be too much trouble anyway. This was just an illegal U-turn, and you know, you hate to see it when you see the person driving like this, flying through construction zones, you know, endangering, you know, workers and everybody else out there, driving without the lights on at 120 miles an hour. But we're not going to call it just yet, but it's sounding like they may just well, CHP's going to get their helicopter overhead, but that may be the only thing we see engaging this until, you know, this person stops, and then maybe at that point we might see what happens to be nearby. Maybe they'll move in on this person.
Yeah, because we know by now, I mean, they've been in communication on their cell phones, so it's nothing right for them to even just use a phone if they have to tell CHP where this person is right now. Or again, as I said, they could be watching us and listening to Desmond.
And at this point, they definitely have the license plate of this car, Pat. So at one point or another, law enforcement's going to be coming, knocking on this driver's door. The problem is they would really like to bring this to an end tonight because this is dangerous. We've had quite a bit of pursuits this month, and this one really has been one of the fastest ones we've seen in a very long time. Again, a driver wanted for
this has
an original
been, for sure, one of the fastest ones.
One of the fastest ones. You agree with
that?
Come up
over the Sepulveda Pass, and now we're headed towards West LA. So we are going to get a CHP helicopter overhead, and I actually just heard that the CHP West Valley may be getting involved in this. They're back there somewhere, but they're not directly behind them. I just kind of zoomed out to see if I could see any ground units, you know, far back there, but West LA. Okay, so it's going to be a CHP West LA that'll be actually getting involved, not West Valley. That makes a lot more sense as we head towards West LA. We'll be down near Sunset Boulevard shortly, but they are not directly behind him yet, and they may, I don't know, they might just be waiting to see if he slows down and then try to engage him then. I mean, we really don't, obviously CHP would like to avoid, you know, having to drive 120 to keep up with this guy, but it wouldn't be unheard of. We've seen CHP keep up with motorcycles when they have to. When CHP gets involved, they are, I would say, typically the most determined law enforcement agency to stick with a pursuit until the very end.
Desmond, can you give us a location check? Where are you right now?
Still on the 405 southbound? Are you still southbound 405, Desmond? Okay, he's talking.
He's probably talking to his pilot or to somebody
else.
else.
At last we checked, he was on the southbound 405.
Because he's moving so fast, right, Pat? 1 minute he's...
Juan and Pat, I may be having some communication issues here, but see if I can hear. I don't hear you at the moment, but I can tell you that we're southbound on the 405, right around Sunset Boulevard, and we still got crazy speeds here of about 120 miles an hour, but unfortunately I'm having trouble hearing you guys right now. I'll see if I can get that figured out on my end.
Okay, well, I heard him say he's still on the southbound 405.
Yeah, we're down in West LA now. It's we crossed Sunset. We're coming down to Wilshire Boulevard here pretty quickly. So yeah, I mean, have you ever heard of anyone making it from, you know, Granada Hills to West LA on the 405
No
in
kidding.
this kind of timing? I mean, even in, you know, late at night, it's it's really unheard of. That just shows you how fast this person's driving, and now all the way to the right side of the freeway again. And again, they've been driving this way with their lights off, or maybe without one headlight anyway, almost for the duration of this chase. It's really amazing that he hasn't slammed into someone already, just by virtue of how fast he's going. And
or lost control of the vehicle.
People change,
yeah, he hasn't.
right, or lost control, or we all know how many people in Los Angeles just get basically change lanes without even signaling or anything like that. So that he hasn't encountered that yet has been a minor miracle. One person in the car, all started with an illegal U-turn southbound on the 405 as we come towards the 10.
Okay, and normally you would see a little bit more traffic on the freeway at this hour as people have been making their way. The city is slowly reopening.
That's right.
It looks like to be a little more traffic than we've seen throughout the evening, except when there have been some construction sites on the freeway.
And it seems like it's always a little busier on the west side of town too.
But he's still going in and out of traffic and still at high. Wait, was that a cruiser?
We just crossed the 10 freeway there, so we're already past the 10 and down towards the 90. Then this is, right as you cross the 10, even at this hour, this is a fairly congested, part of the 405, and you see, right there, that person changing lanes without using their signal, and he had to go right around him again. It's kind of just what I was talking about earlier, but wide open conditions, but still some volume here. I don't think he's going to. We'll see if he's going to be able to continue at 120 miles an hour as he had been since he basically got on the 405. But we'll be headed down towards LAX as well. This has been almost all freeway. Started in Glendale. We've gone up through Silmar and Sunland area, and now we're all the way down in West LA on the 405.
My goodness. All right. The high-speed pursuit happening right now in West Los Angeles on the 405 freeway, as we've seen here, going at incredible rates of speed for a driver that was originally wanted in Glendale for just an illegal U-turn.
An illegal U-turn, which this person has made a number of illegal U-turns this evening, driving with no lights on several freeways, but now, as you mentioned, on the 405 heading toward the West LA area. We're going to turn it over to Susie Suh and Jeff Bond, who will complete this coverage on KCAL 9 News at 10 o'clock.
And good evening, I'm Jeff Vaughn alongside Susie Suh. This is KCAL 9 News at 10 o'clock, and we continue to follow breaking news of a pursuit going on now for nearly an hour.
Let's go upstairs now to Desmond Shaw in Sky 9 for the very latest. Desmond.
Yeah, Pat, I'm sorry, Susie and Jeff, here we are southbound on the 405 with a really high-speed pursuit. I would call it a semi-pursuit. We're still waiting for units on the ground to get involved. This is an air pursuit at this point, but this began in Glendale. It all started with an illegal U-turn. Glendale PD wanted to pull this person over, and this guy slammed on the gas pedal and took off. We saw him southbound on the 2 freeway getting into Atwater Village when Glendale PD was still behind him, and then he just blasted off onto the northbound 5, and that was when the units on the ground, basically they couldn't keep up with this guy. So they had the chopper overhead who was trying to get other units in place. Unfortunately, they've had ongoing radio problems, and so we followed this vehicle from Glendale through Burbank all over the San Fernando Valley to the North Valley up towards Silmar, and then he came south on the 405, and he's been over 100 miles an hour ever since southbound 405 now as we head towards LAX. We're just waiting for CHP to get engaged. We've been hearing them talking on their frequencies with the location, that spotlight overhead. I believe that is CHP's helicopter. They're the ones following this one from the air now, and hopefully they're going to get a unit behind this and find a way to bring this to an end, Jeff and Susie.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, this is for an illegal U-turn in Glendale. The driver behind the wheel of a Honda Cross Tour, we believe. Lights off, Susie, been going very fast, zigzagging in and out of traffic as well. The 101, the 405, the I-5. At one point in time, some strange behavior stopped at Laurel Canyon along the 101, but didn't get out of the vehicle. We wondered if there was going to be a foot pursuit at that point in time. But then also some odd behavior off of the 5 at San Fernando Boulevard, and stopped at an overpass there. Was kind of lingering underneath that overpass. You wonder if maybe there was somebody dropped off. We're not quite sure, but at least some odd behavior tonight from this driver.
Yeah, odd behavior and just the speeding factor. This driver has been going so fast, so we don't know if that's the reason why. We're guessing that's the reason why the ground units have actually backed off, because going 100 miles per hour, sometimes on surface streets, there is just no way that the law enforcement officials are going to put the public in danger like that, as well as the drivers.
CBS 2 News at 11 p.m.
Now on CBS 2 News at 11 and streaming on CBSN Los Angeles, a wild and dangerous pursuit reaching 120 miles per hour. What started it all? An illegal U-turn in Glendale. Police tried to pull the car over, but the driver took off. The pursuit traveled a number of freeways, including the 5, the 134, the 405, and the 101. The driver flew down roads, even without lights at times. The driver also kept getting off the freeway, only to get right back on. The whole time, police tracked it mostly from the air, but the driver ended up getting away. Officers lost the chase near LAX just about 45 minutes ago.